Hello, I'm Malcolm Brady. I'm Associate Professor of Business Strategy here at Dublin City University. This short video is to introduce the course you'll be taking very shortly. So I'm delighted to be able to work with you on this course, on this material over the next semester. Firstly, the course is mainly centered around case studies, and I think you'll find these interesting. They're real-life representations of some organizational or personal strategic situation, and you have to look at those and grapple with those and in a sense form some view on it and possibly consider some course of action to deal with the issues arising from the situation. So we'll start off this week actually looking at Robin Hood, case study set 700 or so years ago, and very short but very appropriate to many organizations, and we'll almost inevitably be referring back to this case study throughout the semester. Next week we'll go on to Man Gulch, again a very personal story, small scale situation, strategic in nature given what occurred, and usually students do get a lot of value from this case. They speak about it afterwards. The third week we'll be looking at Stalingrad. This is a case on major, huge organizations taking place over a huge area, although actually over a relatively short space of time, 2 or 3 months, the end of 1941, beginning of 1942. And here we see a totally competitive situation, as in one side gains only at the expense of the other side. So for one side to gain, the other side has to lose that amount of, in this particular case, territory. So it's a strictly competitive situation. Strategy making at all levels, from senior, let's call it senior management or high command in this case, middle management, which would be army commanders, and then frontline commanders and frontline staff. And we'll be looking at how the decisions made at different levels impact throughout all the other levels, but particularly the decisions made at high levels impact right down the chain of command, right down to the front line. And we see how both sides made decisions dealing with the same situation, but made quite different decisions, and how one set of decisions worked out much more favorably than the other. Our next case then is the Cuban Missile Crisis. So we'll be looking again at a competitive situation here, two sides, not quite in strict competition, as in there, we'll see there was a way out where neither side lost completely. So there wasn't a win-lose situation, but a type of win-win type situation. This is a political situation. So we've looked at an emergency situation, a military situation, and this one is a political situation. And we see from this case study how different lenses can give quite different views on what occurred at the time. So generally speaking, in strategic organizational situations, we don't have a single view of the situation. There are multiple ways of looking on it and multiple tools that we can use, and we'll be introducing those tools in, some of those tools anyway, in week 3. After that, we start moving into our business cases, and we look at a number of different firms, some that would be arguably low-cost competitors, such as Aldi, some that could be differentiators, such as Avalon, and we'll be looking at some multinational firms as well, IKEA and Uber. Uber is an interesting case as it represents platform-type businesses, which are becoming hugely important globally at the moment. And it'll give us an introduction to a platform type business, and the readings associated with that are platform readings. Not our final case, but remaining business cases, PALS, a small low-cost operator again, and one you probably haven't heard of, but has a very interesting way of operating that I think will give us insight. So that's broadly speaking the introduction to the cases. We'll also be looking at a number of readings for each week. So there's a number of recommended readings, or required readings, sorry, for each week, usually 2 readings, usually short, usually oriented towards practicing managers or practitioners in industry, or practitioners in organizations, not research students. So these are practical readings. I've been also introduced a number of readings from the literature as optional readings, so you can delve into those if you wish. And then 1 or 2 chapters from our textbook, Thompson and Strickland. So 1 or 2 chapters for each week from that. So you're going to have quite a bit of material to read in advance each week. And what we'll be doing is, I'll be expecting you to have read all of that material in advance and indeed prepared. Some groups or some people may have to have formal preparations made. And then we'll spend the class meetings, whether it's online or whether it's in classroom, we'll spend those discussing the material. So that's known as the flipped classroom. So you'll be reading in advance and then discussing the materials that you've read in the classroom. And it's absolutely vital that you read the materials in advance, because if you don't, you won't really have anything to say in the classroom, in the discussion. And you won't get much out of the discussion either, because you won't have anything to refer to or link it with. Okay, so the more you've prepared in advance, the more you'll get out of the classroom discussion. Anyway, enough said here. I look forward to meeting you all live, either virtually or in the classroom very shortly. Okay, thank you.